Richard Clarida was the Vice Chair of the Fed. He's now a Managing Director, the Manager to PIMCO,
joins me now. I'm sure you were listening eagerly there because we're going to get into the weeds of it. CPI, PCE, what is it, both at the Fed and now as one of the top advisors, what is it you look at when you see these numbers?
Well, I think, Richard, first of all, great to be on your show. It's been too long. A couple of points. First, I agree with your previous speaker. The Fed targets something called the PCE index. We won't get that for a couple of weeks, but I would look at both core measures because food and energy do tend to be volatile. They go up and down. And secondly, I do think that we have a problem in the U.S. measuring owner-occupied housing. Most people have mortgages and with a fixed rate, and so they're not really renting their house every month. And I do think we don't measure that very well. So I look at core measures and measures that strip out the owner equivalent rent calculation.
And there we are seeing on the screen this construct, the owner equivalent rental, the index for all items, the insider price of an owner. I mean, this is a real... Why do we bother looking at the owner's equivalent rent versus just looking at what rent is? Who cares what an owner would? You know, my apartment in New York, who cares what I would rent it out at if I've no intention of renting it out?
Richard, I'll be boring. I completely agree with you 100%. Moreover, many countries in the world don't even bother. For example, if you want to do apple-to-apples comparison of U.S. inflation to Eurozone inflation, that in Europe, they don't even try to measure owner's equivalent rent. They say if you rent your apartment, we know what that is. If you own it, then it doesn't go in the index. And I think that's a much more sensible approach. It also, coincidentally, works in the Fed's favor because the numbers that strip out the OER are running around 2%, not 3.5%.
Right, now that was my next point. If you take out OER and you take out core and you get down to the nitty-gritty, if you will, what do you believe inflation is actually doing?
Richard, my best guess is underlying inflation is somewhere in the twos. It's what I've called the 2-point-something approach, and I think we're there. You know, there is some noise. Chair Powell's talked about that bumpy road. It's probably bumpier than he and the Fed would like, but I do think inflation is running in the twos, which is close to, but not exactly at the long-run target of 2%.
So, if you're still voting, what would you vote? Cutting out? I mean, well, first of all, what would you vote? And secondly, what do you think the Fed will do?
Well, I came into the year thinking that the data would be such that the committee, and if I were on the committee, would be considering rate cuts in June or July. I think it's very, very, very unlikely they do any cuts in June. I think there's a scenario where they could cut in July, but it's a pretty tough one. So my guess is the committee will make a decision in this summer. Looking ahead, they'll have some projections in June, those infamous dots, and we'll get a good sense, but we may not get a rate cut till the fall because the numbers have been sufficiently disappointing that I think they're going to need to see really 3 good months of data.
Now, let's push that forward because what matters? What does it matter if you do it in July or October? We'll deal with the political bit in a second. But in terms of the grand scheme overall, what difference does it make in grand policy making if you do it in July or October?
It makes essentially no difference. What's relevant is the way they communicate the expected path, and they can get what they need in terms of if they are agreed where they think rates are going for the next 18 months, then it literally doesn't matter at all if you do it in July or September. Yeah.
We've looked at this before on Crestway's Business, and the history shows that rate cuts, rate rises take place in the months before a presidential election. But when you're there, I mean, do you take any account of the fact we don't want to be seen to help one side or the other?
Richard, I really don't think so. Certainly during my 4 years there, which included 2020, a presidential election year. Of course, it was also a once-in-a-century pandemic, and it was not on our mind then. And there are transcripts available, and I think if you read the transcripts, which go back decades, you'll see that it doesn't factor in. I would note that this year the November meeting is the day after the election, but I just think they're going to do what they need to do. I'm convinced they're going to do what they need to do, and as you've said, the Fed has been, in past election cycles, has both cut and hiked rates, so they're going to do what they need to do.
Where do you think we bottom out? Where do you think we stop at the bottom? Once the cycle comes to an end, in a sense, what's the low point?
Well, that's a great question for the following reason. It really is going to depend on how sticky and stubborn U.S. inflation is, because I do think we could be in a possible scenario where inflation is in the twos, perhaps around 2.5% for some time, and in that world, the Fed may begin to cut, but it doesn't cut all the way down to where it would if inflation was at 2. So if inflation falls to 2%, as they expect by the end of 2025, early 26, then rates could get down into the low 3s. If inflation stays stuck at 2.5, then rates could get down to maybe around 4%. I do think they're going to want to see evidence of inflation moving down to target to get rates all the way down to what they think neutral is.
Richard, it's good to see you, sir. Yes, you've been gone far too long from us. We need to have you back. And I don't think either of us ever thought we would be discussing owner equivalence rentals on television, but there we are.
All right.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.